Hi there, welcome in Amsterdam, capital of the Netherlands. I'm Linda, I'm a Guido certified tour guide. Since 2009 I have been living here in Amsterdam, and as I was so enthusiastic about the city, I wanted to share my enthusiasm with its visitors. And that's why I became a tour guide in 2012. Unfortunately, we cannot show you around here in Amsterdam at the moment, and that's the reason why we try to bring it to you instead. So this is where it all started around the year 1000. The first people came to live on the banks of the Amstel River, that side and on that side. And there where we see Centraal Station nowadays, there used to be an open connection with the sea. That caused a lot of floodings. So you can imagine it wasn't a very safe place to live. In 1260 they decided to build a dam. No worries, I don't want to swear, but they wanted to build a dam in the Amstel River to protect the land. It made it a bit safer, and you had to pay toll to pass the locks back in those days. And you had to pay taxes to bring in your goods into the city. Trade was about to start. Do you already understand where the name Amsterdam or Amsterdam comes from? At first the name of the city was Amsterdam. Then it changed into Amsterdam and nowadays Amsterdam. But it still derives back from the dam being built in the Amstel River. And that's how we can explain many other city names, such as Edam, Dam in the river de E, or Rotterdam, Dam in the river de Rotte. Since we are here, isn't this a beautiful building, our Centraal Station? It dates back to the end of the 19th century. And you might have seen it already, but otherwise have a look up there. Do you see that funny clock up there? It doesn't show you the time, does it? No, it shows you the direction of the wind. And that reminds us about the maritime history of this area. Sir Kuiper was the architect. And later on I will show you another building from his hand, the famous Rijksmuseum. Amsterdam used to have a very big harbor, and in the 17th century it even used to be the biggest harbor in the world. Can you imagine? If the sailors came ashore after being for months at sea, the first area where they would come would be over here. Do you already know which area I'm talking about? Yes, it's the famous red light district. And yeah, unfortunately we cannot show you too much since we have to respect the privacy of the ladies. And we cannot walk around with you anymore here, but it's still worth a visit. So when you're here, please walk through this area. It has so much to offer. Many nice old buildings, historical buildings, and a lot of history. It's one of the oldest parts in town. Some rules though that you have to respect while walking around here is that you're not allowed to make pictures of the sex workers. It's about their privacy after all. And besides that, I once learned a very important lesson. It was from a sex worker that works here, and she told me, Linda, please, if you walk around here, tell your guests that I'm a very proud lady, that I'm proud of the work I'm doing, I'm proud of my body, and please approach me like that. So keep that in mind while walking here. So here we're standing on Dam Square, the dam that has been built in 1260 in the Amstel River. And the Amstel River at this point is quite well hidden, but it still floats underneath us through big pipelines. And behind me we see a very big, beautiful building, which we know nowadays as the Royal Palace. But when it was built in the 17th century, it was built as a city hall. And actually this building shows you the power and the wealth of the rich merchants that used to live here in the 17th century. It was not until 1800 that it became the Royal Palace. And you can imagine nowadays it's not a very pleasant place to live for a royal family. But they do use it for official matters. And when they don't use it, it's open as a museum. Where the rich and the famous used to live on the other side of the canal, the poor people used to live over here, in the former worker area, the Jordaan, or the Jordaan District. Nowadays it's a nice and cozy area with about 19,000 inhabitants. But up to the 60s there were about 100,000 people living here. Take a look at the houses, don't they look beautiful? But can you imagine that where families nowadays have an average of about 2 children here in the Netherlands, Families up to the 60s of last century had up to 8 or 10 children. And people weren't living on floors like we do nowadays in Amsterdam, as most of these apartments are one-floor apartments. But people were living in rooms with their whole family. Can you imagine that on one floor you might have had 2 rooms or 3 bedrooms, and there were 8 or 10 people living on one room, and then even the attics and the basements were in use as rooms. It wasn't a nice place to live. And you can imagine there were a lot of diseases around. You can imagine this wasn't a very nice place to live. But thankfully it has been saved from the demolition hammer. And nowadays it's a beautiful and lovely place to stroll through, get lost, because you will get lost in this lovely labyrinth. But it's full with little workshops and with little restaurants and nice hidden gems. So please take a look over here in the Jordaan District. This ferry runs every 5 minutes and brings you within 5 minutes to Amsterdam North. It's a free connection and I would definitely recommend you to do this. It's a free excursion on its own. And since Corona we have to wear a face mask. Don't forget about that. It's only a stroll away to Adam Lookout, where we will have a fantastic overview over the city. If you think that the view that you just got from this harbor was as well the harbor of the 17th century, forget about it. No, these are all artificial islands which you see. And they are connected with a lot of bridges. To be honest, we have more bridges than Venice to connect all of these islands. But don't tell them it's their unique selling point. And there is a saying, God created the world, but the Dutch, they created their own country. We are now standing on the observation deck of the Amsterdam Lookout Tower. Very nice view from here, and on clear days you can even see our Schiphol airport over there. If we would sail all the way up west, we would end up in the North Sea. But before we can go to the North Sea, we have to cross the locks of IJmuiden. And because of the locks of IJmuiden and the enclosing dike all the way up north, we're not in open connection with the sea anymore. And that means that we have mostly fresh water in our city. And we're a pretty safe city because we don't have floodings anymore. After a bike ride of 7 minutes only, we arrived at the Rijksmuseum. Actually, Amsterdam is a very small city where you can reach everything very fast by foot, by bike or by public transport. But if you're not a daredevil, rather don't use your bike here in Amsterdam. But if you want to come fast to your destination and in a cheap way and a safe way, use public transport. But anyway, we are here on Museum Square, and it's called Museum Square for a reason, because it houses a lot of museums. One of them is the Van Gogh Museum, right over there in the Modern Building. And behind it you find the Museum for Modern Arts, het Stedelijk Museum. And of course a beautiful concert hall. But right behind me we find the Rijksmuseum. This beautiful building is built by the end of the 19th century. And its architect was Sir Kuipers. You might recognize him and remember him from Centraal Station that I showed you in the beginning. Well, Kuiper was a very Catholic man, and he was also known for the Catholic churches that he built. And a lot of people think that this building was meant as a monastery. Not true. It was right from the start the house of the night watch of famous painter Rembrandt, or the milkmaid of Johannes Vermeer. But luckily we also have Kuipers here who keeps an eye on things. Did you know that the night watch has its own emergency exit? It's right up there. It was used in the Second World War to bring the night watch to a safe place, away from the museum. Something what you really need to try while visiting the Netherlands is a typical Dutch pancake. And I will get it inside here because this is my favorite spot to get it, the carousel. This is my favorite one. It has apple on it, it has bacon, it has powdered sugar and syrup. So I did not say it would be a healthy dinner or lunch, because that's what we eat it for. We eat it for lunch or dinner, and the cold leftovers are the only ones that we eat for breakfast. But now I have to start talking and start eating, because otherwise it's cold. The rich merchants of the 17th century wanted to build themselves big canal houses. But therefore the city needed an extending, because the city was only very small until 1600. So a city expanding with 3 canals: the Prinsesgracht, Keizersgracht and the Herengracht. And just to give you an idea of the wealth of these people, they could afford themselves tulips. You would probably think, yeah, tulips, so what? Tulips were about 2,200 euros each in the high days of the tulip mania. Can you imagine you would pay 2,200 euros for one single tulip? I love tulips, but I wait until the auction had a good day and I only pay 5 euro to a max of 7.50 euro for 50 tulips, just to give you some credit. There are 2 museums which you can visit actually to get a little bit of an idea what life was like on the canal belt in the 17th century. And this is my favorite one. So why is this museum my personal favorite museum? Well, it has a very nice audio guide which give you a perfect insight of the last family that used to live here. And it has a beautiful garden. There is a nice kitchen where you can sit down to have a coffee. I would say come over here and visit this beautiful Willetholthuis museum. Yeah, and you already see all the boats passing by. I still think that this is the best way to discover the canal belt of Amsterdam. I did it so many times, but it never bores me. I still love to do it. And every time I discover new things.
So Linda,
Yeah.
it's in, I wanted to say 88 beautiful canals in Dutch. How would I say that?
88 prachtige grachten. Or better, 88 allemachtig prachtige grachten.
Could you say that one more time, please?
88 allemachtig prachtige grachten.
Wow, thank you.
Well, as the first raindrops after a very warm sunny day here in Amsterdam are coming down, and I even hear some thunder on the background, we're closing up this episode here in Amsterdam. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a bit of an idea about Amsterdam. And yeah, we just hope that you stay safe and healthy, and we would love to welcome you back soon again here in Amsterdam. Hope to see you soon.